Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching or listening to us from. You're welcome to Stocker Team, the Investors Channel. Today, the 31st of January 2025. Today is an interesting day. We have an interesting topic. The market seems to be on a very bullish run today. But before we move ahead, I would like to make a disclaimer. Every information shared on this channel is for information and education purpose only. So do not take any decision unless you've spoken to your financial advisor or you've done your due diligence. On that note, thank you so much for following us, for subscribing to our channel, for putting on your notification bell, and also sharing our video. All the comments, all the feedback, we really appreciate them. Please keep them coming. We also want to invite you to join us on X. Yes, we are live on X as well, where we now share all the breaking news, the results breaking in the on Wall Street, all the analysis, all the earnings report, including macroeconomic news that actually move the market, that move the stock market. So please join us on X. You can see the handle Stocker Team Live. Stocker Team Live on X. Join us. We actually hope to keep you abreast of all the interesting topic moving the market and moving your portfolio so that you know what's going on with your money or your investment. Today we have a special topic, and that's Apple. Apple released the results yesterday. The entire market was actually, holding its breath yesterday until Apple actually released the result late in the night for investors in Europe or in the UK, but around the afternoon, after the closing of the market or of trading on Wall Street in the US. So Apple came up with a result that showed that the company's sales in China continues to go down, continues to decrease. However, on the bright side, Apple still released a financial result that shows that Apple did not only beat on the top line, which means the revenue actually beat expectation. They beat on the bottom line as well. And despite the fact that iPhone sales actually went down year on year from fourth quarter last year and fourth quarter 2023, Apple still performed by delivering a net profit that was higher than what was expected, a gross revenue that was higher than what was expected. Now, where was the bright spot? The bright spot for Apple was actually Apple's services, Apple's subscription services, subscription products, Apple's content entertainment platform, Apple's services that people actually now pay for, Apple Music, Apple TV Plus. All of these services keeps making Apple to actually make more money, become that cash king, that cash cow that continues to make money even when iPhone, which was seen as the main cash cow of the business, services now seems to be the future or the bright spot in Apple's business. So the question we have today, and that's what the topic for this episode is for, what's actually next for Apple? Is Apple going to continue selling less and less iPhones? What happens if those sales do not actually pick up? And the services side of Apple's business, how is this going to continue to grow for Apple? Given the fact that over the years, Apple has shown that it's not just a smartphone company, it's not just a technology company that makes the best smartphone in the world, it's also a company that can make money from recurring revenue, such as subscription for content, subscription for fitness content, subscription for health, subscription for music, subscription for so many digital services, the App Store, which is a mega part of Apple's business. So that's what we are looking at today. And I'll go to the chart just like we normally do it so that you actually follow the thought pattern of why we think the future of Apple. Do we think it's bright? Do we think it's bleak? Or it's going to be lukewarm? Join me. So I'll go to my demo board, and we'll be looking at Apple's stock performance over the years, how the company actually got to where it is today. Before I actually get into the nitty-gritty of what we think is next for Apple, the all-time performance chart for Apple is the most instructive way to actually start. It's better to actually look at the past before looking at the present or the future. So how did this company become so big that it became a multi-trillion dollar company with the biggest and the most sought after smartphone brand? This company was listed in 1981 on the stock market, but you could see the trajectory for so many years up until mid 2000s. Apple was almost nothing to write home about in terms of performance on the stock market. Yes, the company had bright futures, especially under the late Steve Jobs. This company was, doing amazing things, but the trajectory of Apple actually started when the company launched the iPhone, and that was the defining moment for smartphone. As a matter of fact, it was the launch of the iPhone and the ramp up in the innovation behind the iPhone that actually killed BlackBerry, which was supposed to be the Apple of today. So Apple over the years actually showed that growth trajectory. If you could actually see, very, very ambitious growth over the years, and iPhone was the cash cow. iPhone was not just the cash cow for Apple in the US, which is the home turf for Apple as a company. iPhone became very successful outside of the US, and more importantly in China. And a whole lot of the smartphone companies are, targeting that business, eyeing the position of Apple as the most coveted, the most respected, the best-selling smartphone brand. Many of them started copying everything that Apple does. The zero keypad smartphone, larger screen, flatter device, zero screws, a whole lot of the design of Apple. Everything was being copied, hook, line, and sinker, even by the likes of Samsung, the likes of Huawei from China. All of these brands, all of these companies were actually trying to copy Apple, and they could not actually keep up. So Apple continued over the years launching several models of Apple year on year, and Apple became what it is today, the iPhone. But I think Apple actually saw the future, and here is what I actually think the future of Apple is. The future of Apple is not going to be an iPhone company. Apple is actually showing that relying on the device, which is Apple iPhone, the Mac, the iPads, all of those devices, the hardware, is neither going to actually sustain the business. The business will sustain itself by becoming an end-to-end ecosystem for consumer experience, led by technology, led by superior design and superior quality. And if you actually look at the trajectory of Apple in the last 5 years, following this chart, you could actually see that Apple kept on performing. Even to investors, to shareholders, Apple still keeps doing buybacks, because they know that investors and shareholders will only be happy when they make money. So the history of Apple's stock price after iPhone got to that top, got to the point where iPhone is no longer as big as what it is. Apple kept doing buybacks, and that's one reason why I still believe that Apple has what it takes to continue to execute on content, on services, subscription. The App Store is actually going to perform better, and that's where we think the future of Apple will actually rely on. If you look at what is happening with DeepSeek AI and why Apple stock has been resilient, as a matter of fact, immediately DeepSeek became viral, Apple stock did a whopping 6 to 8% within a few days. And that's because the future of artificial intelligence is not necessarily the large language model or the ChatGPT that you know. It's actually software that can be built upon the large language model that can actually change the way we do business, change the way we communicate, change the way we interact. And that's why, despite the fact that Apple's cash cow, Apple's mainstay, main part of its business is actually not doing well, the market, investors who are savvy, who have seen the future, are actually betting on this company, that this company is going to continue to perform, is going to continue to outperform. If you look at what has happened to Nvidia in the last few days, you could actually see that the future of technology, the future of the leading technology company can never and will never be the hardware. It will always be the software, the customer experience, the security, and the superior quality of innovation that you can build on top of the hardware. The hardware, which is more or less what AI scientists call more or less AI at the edge, which is anywhere you are connected, you should be able to access the power of AI. The hardware is just the device, it's just more or less like the door to the experience. So what is the future of Apple? And this is where I get to the climax of my argument today. The future of Apple is not the iPhone. The future of Apple is the superior experiences that Apple can continue to deliver. And I'm going to show you some of those examples. Just come with me. So as you can see, here is Apple TV Plus. A few years ago, when Apple saw the trajectory of streaming and the fact that Apple has over 2 billion people using Apple devices in the world. So what did Apple actually do? Instead of Apple burying its head in the sand and basically just allowing the likes of Netflix, the likes of Disney, the likes of Paramount, or the likes of Comcast to more or less feed on its entire network of over 2 billion people using Apple devices, Apple created Apple TV Plus. Apple TV Plus today is one of the most successful side of the business for Apple, especially the fact that Apple does not necessarily copy what Netflix does, because Netflix just more or less directly or indirectly open the entire platform up and allow so many partners to provide content, and some of those content might not actually retain the kind of quality. Yes, Netflix actually tries to maintain that quality, but Apple is actually partnering with some of the best content writers, some of the best directors in the world. Like for instance, if you come with me, one of the most successful part of Apple TV's content recently is Severance, one of the best sci-fi science fiction content ever released. And this show has just shown that Apple perhaps might just be testing the waters. Looking at the way Apple actually leapfrog or invest in its business, Apple will usually test some of this innovation, some of these ideas. It doesn't matter whether somebody is doing it. as you can see, this is Severance, one of the best science fiction films, which has made Apple a lot of money this quarter. And you are going to see how Apple is going to ramp up. They have so much cash. As a matter of fact, yesterday Apple announced that it has over $141 billion in cash on its balance sheet. $141 billion in cash. If you look at Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Fitness, a whole lot of all of this subscription business, that is the future of Apple. And to wrap up this episode, do I actually think the future of Apple is bright? Absolutely yes. I think the future of Apple is bright. I think the company has so much cash, so much money. Yes, having so much money is not necessarily a good thing, because sometimes when you don't actually know what to do with the money, you lack that idea, you lack the originality, or you lack that genuine spirit to actually build something that will last long, you might actually end up wasting all of those money. And the history of Wall Street is replete with a lot of companies that have wasted billions of dollars doing almost absolute nonsense, wasting investors' money, wasting shareholders' fund, messing up their customers. But Apple is not that kind of company. Yes, the company hasn't necessarily released something so whiz bang, but we think the fact that this company has been able to redefine itself as a company that's not just relying on the hardware, on the iPhone, on the iMacs, on the tablets, a whole lot of these devices, the AirPods and all that, it is showing that this company will actually become bigger than what it is. We think Apple will be the first company in the history of the world that will become a 5 trillion company. That might happen in the next 2-3 years, but Apple has what it takes to still continue to maintain that leadership. So Apple has always been a buy for us. It is number one on the Magnificent Seven of the stock picks that we have on Stocker Team. So thank you so much for watching this episode. Thank you for following us. Thank you for supporting us. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe. Put on your notification bell. What do you think about the future of Apple? Do you think the future is bright? Do you think it's bleak? Do you think Apple has lost its mojo? Do you think Apple doesn't have any innovation or anything up its sleeve? Do you think this company is going to die a slow death or a fast death, just like BlackBerry, Canada's BlackBerry? Let's hear from you. On that note, I will still want to invite you to actually join our X community. It is at Stocker Team Live. Please follow us. We have been sharing breaking news, how the result is breaking. On Monday, Palantir, one of the most interesting companies in the world of AI, will be releasing its results on Monday. We hope that Palantir is going to outperform. You can see the stock has done well over 4% as at today as we speak, and the stock is at almost all-time high today. Palantir has done more than almost 20% just between January and now. In the last 3 to 4 years, Palantir has done over 600% return to investors. So let's watch and wait. Palantir is a buy on this channel. It's one of the most interesting company that we have picked and is successful. So join us, our X community. We'll be breaking that news as well on our channel. Till we meet again on Monday, keep investing, keep growing. Thank you. Bye bye.